everyone. Welcome to the Daily Grind. My name is Kelly Johnson, your fun and friendly host. We are on episode 44, the very best one yet. Shout out to my podcast team, Ambiguous Network, and fellow pods on there, including UMAB Bro, the Sam Bustle Podcast, and GDP, Goal Driven Professionals. Where to find more about the network, head over to ambiguouspodcastsolutions.com. If you're interested in joining the network, reach out to Will Tereshuk and his team. So if this is your first episode with us, your fourth one you're listening to, or right on track with episode 44, we appreciate you for following our podcast journey. So help us grow, share this episode with a friend, and give us a rating and quick review. So virtual high five to you in advance. So speaking of making connections and networking, I had a great time getting in touch with a truly amazing woman going above and beyond in Chicago. So today's episode, I get to talk to this new special guest to share her story. So without further ado, let me introduce you to Erin Mayer. So Erin Mayer, she's an attorney specializing in commercial litigation and labor and employment. She is also the founder of Assist Your Sisters, a weekly newsletter that connects women with opportunities and collaborators. She lives and works in the Chicago area. So welcome to the show, Erin.
Hi, Kelly. Thanks. I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for connecting. And I'm excited to record this episode with you and, learn more about your story and share it with our listeners and everything. So I guess first and foremost, can you tell our listeners who you are, where you're from, and what you do?
Yeah, my name is Erin Mayer. I am a lawyer. I specialize in commercial litigation and labor and employment litigation. And as you mentioned, it's a company called The Assist, which is an online community for women focused on answering intimate questions about their career journey. I live in Chicago, and I was born in the suburbs of Chicago.
Very nice. Yeah, so local Chicagoan, which is great. I like it. Like that on the Daily Grind. So I guess maybe first you want to start out with, how did you become interested in law?
Sure. So actually, both of my parents are lawyers, and my dad, he always had his own firm, and I see myself in my dad for a lot of reasons. We're both super passionate about life. We go 110% in everything we do, and we also both live for music. So I saw him being completely fulfilled in all aspects of his life. He was fulfilled at work. He was fulfilled as a musician, as a dad, a husband, a friend, just a person. And that was the life that I wanted to create for myself. So I went to law school in 2009 or 2010. I took a year off after I graduated. And I started off actually in personal injury, because both of my parents were personal injury attorneys. And I don't know, that's just what I thought I wanted to do. And, it wasn't really thought out that I would specialize in commercial litigation or labor and employment, but about 4 years ago, I started at a business services firm, knowing basically nothing about business or business law. I've been there for 4 years, and I really love it. I love getting into the nitty-gritty of what makes a business work and operate.
Very cool. Can you tell our listeners more about, because not everyone is in the law realm like myself. Can you tell them what commercial litigation and labor employment, what's that all about? Like, what do you work on, things like that?
Sure. So I primarily specialize in commercial litigation. For a couple of years, I was doing labor and employment. And what that means is you're counseling business owners on issues with their employees. So hiring and firing, assessing risks for potential suits. And so I actually then went back just to commercial litigation. It was pretty difficult to balance both at the same time. But now I have this interesting niche, which is commercial and labor and employment litigation. And so what litigation means is it's anything having to do with a lawsuit. It's when you go to court and you talk to a judge. It's what you're used to seeing on TV, basically. And so anything having to do with a lawsuit, from assessing risks and trying to avoid a lawsuit, or God forbid you're involved in one, I'm there to help you work through that.
That's really cool. Was your family, were they supportive of you going to that area versus personal injury, or what were their thoughts?
Yeah, my parents have never really pushed me to do one thing or the other. Um, Actually, my mom, when I wanted to go to law school, my mom told me, you should wait a few years because your dad took a few years off and he traveled the country playing music. And I think that's what you need to do. So, I mean, my parents have never pushed me to be a lawyer, to do anything. So they don't need me to do exactly what they did by any means.
No, that's great. Yeah, I like it. I like the variety, and it's cool that you have like a personal tie, and yeah, you're killing it out there for real. Like, going above and beyond. In your specialization, you've a ton of experience now, working in that area over the years. I guess on a separate track. So now, how did you become interested in entrepreneurship? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure. So it was about a couple years back, and I was just looking down the track of what my life would be like 10, 15 years down the road. And there was something that felt not aligned with who I am. And I wasn't sure what it was. What I was sure was that there was some creativity missing from my life. So I had this feeling, like this nagging feeling for a while, and I didn't really know what it was. And then Yeah, it was a couple of years ago. I was getting my hair cut and I was reading a magazine because I think that's like the only time I ever read magazines now. But I was reading a magazine and reading about some women owned businesses. And I felt this like ping of jealousy. And it just made me realize like that is what I want to do. And so my hairdresser is used to like my sporadic outbursts, but I basically screamed, like, I'm going to own a business. And she looked at me and she was just like, okay, sure. like, I don't know if she knew that that was like my epiphany that I was going to change my life. But yeah, looking back, kind of like what I was saying before, I was just always raised just to be completely myself, to share myself with others. And that's what I want to do through entrepreneurship.
Very cool. Did you take just building up to you being the founder of the Assist? Did you take like business classes throughout college, throughout your studies? Do you network with other people? How do you gain that knowledge to?
No, I'm lucky that I've gained a lot of business knowledge in the past 4 years working at a business services firm. When something is new to me, like it was with my current job, I need to go down a rabbit hole to learn everything possible about that thing. So I'm a lifelong learner. So I've been constantly educating myself about business. I'm still doing it. I'm by no means an expert. But no, I never did that in college. Looking back, I wish I did. I was a Spanish major. I took English classes, very liberal artsy. No business.
That's cool. No, but you have a diverse background though. So you get I guess you currently even with the assist or even in your current position in law, do you use is bilingual language, like, is that a thing?
I'm kind of embarrassed. No, I probably cannot even maintain a conversation, to be totally honest. I mean, it comes back to me when I hear it. My husband's pretty good at it, and I can engage just fine. But no, it's a little embarrassing. No, it's not great.
No, that's fine. No, that's really cool though to learn another language. It kind of I think that probably inspired your creativity. That probably filled that need that you had of like having that creative background. Just building up the language. Now you started your own business, so that's another creative thing. You get to kind of you're the founder, the sole owner, so you're able to kind of make it how it is, and flow those creative juices, take all the things that you've learned over the years. And I don't know. I want to tell your story. I want you to tell yours. So yeah, can you tell us a little bit more about the assist?
Yeah. So, going back to why I wanted to start the assist, it begins with a little bit of a negative experience in that when I was a law student starting, my first job experiences, I faced a situation that would not have happened to me if I was a man. And it really made me confront sexism in the workplace, which was now it's so, of course there's sexism in the workplace, but at the time I had been raised to believe everything was equal, that women had worked so hard to make the workplace equal for me, and that all I had to do was walk in and everything, I was equal to my male counterparts. But something happened, and it made me confront not only external sexism, but my own sexism in myself and my expectations of myself, my sexism towards myself and towards other women. And it was just basically a come to Jesus moment that really stuck with me for years. And so much so that there's no denying that now, like, confronting that sexism at work is my calling. So I wanted to start something that allowed women to connect with each other and that would allow them to support each other at work. And that's what the Assist does. So it allows women to anonymously reach out and ask for guidance among the other women who are reading the newsletter, and then they can respond directly and help them with something that perhaps that woman has already conquered before in their career.
That's great. That's a really good story, and I think it's really sends a really great message out to a lot of both young and old women, or just across industries, to be honest, in various jobs. And yeah, you hit the nail on the head in regards to in the workplace. There's a lot of things that happen that sexism happens, and there's need to be resources out there, things to confront that, and to make that more known. And because there's a lot of women out there that are working hard and they need to be represented and things like that. But so the Assist. So doing my research and looking at your website, Instagram, social channels, things like that. So very beautiful website layout, very user friendly.
Yeah.
So do you have a team behind you? How have you grown it to? How long has the Assist been around for?
So I started it last August. That was after like a year probably of telling everyone I was going to do it. So I finally did it last August. A friend of a friend helped me out with the website, which was really clutch. She's amazing. Her name's Bailey, and she lives in New York. Bailey Edwards, shout out to her. And then another friend, I'm actually realizing the same friend had the two friends of, but then another friend of my friends helped me with the beginning of the Instagram layout, which was really helpful too. And then I picked it up. But that's really been it. I mean, it has been a community effort for sure. I have a lot of support from a lot of the women in my life. Not any decision, but a lot of the major decisions I make, I run through my actual sister, a lot of my friends, or professional women who I've made professional relationships with, in starting my business.
Very nice. Yeah, I like it. Networking, connections, that's what we're all about here on the Daily Grind. So another thing, the branding, the Assist. So how'd you come up with the name?
How did I come up with that? I sat down with a friend of mine who is in marketing, actually. She's a content developer. And she helped me. The first day we just sat down and she just said, just say out loud, like, all the words that come to you when you think of the brand you want to create. And I don't even remember what it was. It was hours long. We just said things like help, and I don't know, maybe I said assist, and we said colors, or literally anything that came to mind. So then we took that and we came the next time and we met a bunch of times. And by the end of it, one of us said, assist your sisters. And it just felt really right. And I loved it. And we went with it.
Very cool. I like it. Yeah, just kind of just a random moment. And just the color board of, I can just imagine all the words and the phrases that come about. Because the Assist has so many like meanings behind it, and it's community based really, and just all the message, how many people that you connect with on a daily, regular basis. That's so great. Can you share with our listeners like a recent success or challenge from women connecting to the platform?
Yeah, of course. So there's been a lot of really great relationships that I get to see build. One that comes to mind, one woman wrote out recently, she actually was a lawyer as well, and she wrote in lamenting about the toxic work culture that she was experiencing, that she wanted another workplace where there were more women leaders. And that post obviously resonated with me. And what I liked about it was it's not the kind of thing you're ever going to go into an interview saying, but it really resonated with another reader. And she reached out and she said, "Hey, I saw your post. I actually just left a firm as well because of that. I now work in-house at X company. We're interviewing in 2 weeks. You should come in." She interviewed in 2 weeks and she got the job. So that felt really cool. I was really proud of it at that point. Something else that, recently happened, a young woman wrote in about an experience she was having. She was progressing in like her dream career as an interior designer, and everything was going really well, but she kept feeling really held back by what she felt was some crippling anxiety when she would meet with, really high up people. And she didn't know what to do, so she needed some advice. A woman responded saying, "I am a leader at Google, and I used to have this issue too. And what I would do is I would do A, B, C before my meetings so that I felt prepared and more confident. And, they would go pretty well. And as they started to get better and better, like I can tell you now that I don't have that experience anymore." And that young woman reached out to the person who responded to her and to the assist, AKA me, to let us know like how impactful that advice was for her, just to know that someone who is objectively successful had dealt with her issue before, and what she did to overcome it had just meant so much to her. And she didn't feel, like a loser or alone, or that it was something that she'd never conquer. So those two things stick out to me, and, they make me really proud of what I built.
Mm-hmm. I think it's really great too. This is like a platform for women to say that, or have the confidence to share what they've experienced or what they're looking for or things like that. And you can bounce back, like you just mentioned. You have people on the other opposite side then had that experience or can give advice, things like that. Do you see that more common?
Yeah,
That's one of the common that's one of the goals of the assist.
right. So I don't know if I've mentioned, but when you submit a request, it's anonymous. And that was really important to me because a lot of the things we're dealing with are really abstract, and you can go on a Facebook channel or a Facebook group, or there's a lot of resources you can go to where your name is out there, and you can get advice. But it was important for me that women could reach out anonymously, and that the first person to show who they were would be the person giving the advice. So you reach out anonymously, and then if I'm able to help you and I've dealt with something similar, I can reach out and you'll see my name. And if you choose to respond to me, I'll see your name. There's something special about that, in that relationship you build together.
Yeah, I think that's great. And then speaking of relationships, they can further stay connected. Like a lot of people on your platform, they can stay connected after that initial response back in post.
Yeah, a lot of them do, which is a very cool thing to see.
Yeah, that's great. I like it a lot. I think, like I said, I think it's a really good platform, really good example of the daily grind here, and everything. I guess speaking during our current situation, what we're currently at right now in COVID-19, so pandemic is still going on, slowly getting into different going into different phases, things like that. How has coronavirus impacted your daily grind?
Well, I'm working from home now. At the beginning, it was a pretty scary thing. And I've gotten to a point now where it's really shifted my mindset, because it's forced me to notice and question things that I wasn't noticing or questioning before. Because it's more than anything before, it's teaching me that things don't just happen the way you think they're going to happen. You don't just get things the way you plan on them happening because they're on your vision board. Shit happens. So you have to really, all that there is the moment. And I know that sounds really like cheesy, but like I've never actually understood that so much as before now. So what it's caused me to do is it's caused me to do exactly that with my work. It's caused me to really try to notice, like, what is going on in business? What is going on with women at work? Women are being really impacted by the virus, whether it's their caretaking obligations, or because women are paid less than men, and so they're more negatively impacted economically, or because of the increase in gender-based violence. But like, it's really caused me to say, what can I do to help these women at work? I feel like this platform's so much more important than it was before. I want women to feel connected to each other, to feel heard and seen. And personally, it's caused me to question, what do I want from my work? When do I want that to happen? What do I do right now so that happens?
Mm-hmm.
So that's a very long answer to that question, but yeah.
Oh, I think that's a very good answer to that question. I guess too, even with the work from home, I'm currently working from home as well. That still happens in the work. Women still get treated like unfairly in the workplace, regardless of if they're in the office or even working remotely. Have you seen that, like in responses or from the network of the CIS? You see people with different experiencing different instances.
Yeah, so I mean, I haven't really necessarily seen like overt sexism, and that's the thing. I mean, there is rarely like what's called overt sexism right now. I mean, there is, but it's more commonplace that it's a little more abstract. So right now, in our newsletter, I'm having each week an assister, and that's what it's called when you assist others. You're an assister. I'm having them write about their experience of COVID, how their life has been impacted, and what they're doing to rise above challenges. Last week, one of the assisters wrote in. She was anonymous, and she referred to herself as attorney mom, and just wrote about how difficult it is being a mom of young kids during this time, and that employers aren't necessarily understanding of the really intense obligations on their employees. I mean, employers have done a lot to implement women's initiatives to try to make the workplace a better place for them, and unfortunately, the current circumstances are making it almost impossible for women who have children to do both. And there are, of course, men who have the same obligations, but more often than not, it falls on the women, just because that is what is expected societally and internally. So I think that right now is the biggest struggle for women at work, like right now.
Mm-hmm. What would you give as advice for women currently in work, so working remotely, that have a family, or are have that perspective in regards to, or that that bias in regards to them being the person that has to handle for kids, or even just working from home during this pandemic? Like, what are some things that they can do in addition to reaching out to the CIS? Like, what are some things that they can kind of work through this at their current workplace?
I wish I had a good answer for that. I'm personally not dealing with that. Like, I don't have kids, so if someone came to me and asked me, there are a number of women that I would probably point them to and connect them with that could probably provide some better guidance on that. I'm curious for myself, like, what can employers do? Because employers are in a really tough situation right now. Like, money is tight. So what can they do? And I don't know. And I've been trying to figure that out. I've been trying to read all the articles I can about women's experiences right now, and what employers can do. And I welcome, if anyone listening has any insight on that, I really welcome that. I really don't know. But yeah, if a woman was struggling right now, as many are, balancing work and childcare responsibilities, and they came to me, there are a number of really inspiring women that I have in my network that I would probably connect them with.
Mm-hmm. That's good. Do you think, or do you foresee, like when the workplace is open again, when there are certain parts of the U.S. that are slowly moving back, people are getting back into their offices. Do you see this trend in the workplace Do you think COVID has a significant impact on this trend in the workplace with women, or do you think things are going to change when people get back into the office? Or
I think it's going to be different across the country. I mean, there were already problems with women in the workplace. A lot of, again, like abstract, complex issues. Even as people start going back to work, I have no idea what it's going to look like. If it's going to be, even when places start to reopen, I think what's going to happen is some businesses will have schedules where you go back, only certain days a week. So there's still going to be a lot of remote work at home. So I don't know.
mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of uncertainty still at this point, I think, in a lot of different industries and workplaces. I'm still, again, waiting to hear when I go back into the office, or if we switch to, a 50% work remotely and 50% in the office. A lot of things are up in the air at the moment, which is crazy. But speaking of schedules, do you have tips for our listeners to balance how they can balance their schedules, find that work-life balance?
Yeah, and that's a really good question. I think for me, we're going to be perfect. Like, just accepting that is huge. And to really have a feeling that you have balance in your life, I think the most important thing is building a practice of building your intuition. So you can listen to yourself and know when you need a break, or when you need to really grind, and just what you need, because without that, you're never going to have a balance. So the way I do that, I try to do these things, and they're not as consistent as I'd like, but the way I build my own intuition is I meditate, I journal, I sing, I play piano, and exercise. And those things, when I'm consistently doing those things, I feel a strong sense of my own intuition and what I need. And I find that at those points, I'm best able to balance my work and my life.
That's really good insight, Erin. Thanks for sharing, because you're really organized.
Yeah.
I think that's really great for our listeners to hear out there, and to try to stay healthy, have a really good well-being, things like that. I guess outside of your busy schedule, what are favorite things to do outside of work? I guess let's have a situation where it's not COVID-19's going on. Like, what are your favorite things to do outside when life is normal?
Yeah. Oh my God. I can't even remember what life was like when it was normal. But I've talked a little bit about that. I love music. I love to sing. I perform sometimes with my dad. He plays guitar, and we perform together, especially in the summer. I'm really hoping that we get the opportunity to do that. As of late, since December, we have a new dog, and I love her, and I'm obsessed with her. So, more often than not, I'm playing with her, or I'm outside with her, or I'm taking pictures of her and sending them to people. That takes up a lot of my time now.
That's great. Yeah, we could always use a dog photo here and there. It's always brightens your day, for real.
Yeah.
That's great. I like it. I like the variety. It's really cool. You're very well rounded. I guess too. Favorite books, people to follow, things to motivate our listeners out there. Do you have any recommendations?
For sure. So something that I read in the past year. Have you read like those How to Be a Badass books?
It's on my book list. Yeah.
Okay. The first one was fine. It didn't really resonate with me for whatever reason. But then I read How to Be a Badass at Making Money. And that one captivated me, especially the part where it talks about being open to the ways that you can make money, and to really challenge yourself about the belief system that you have about money, and how to counteract that so you have more positive beliefs about money. So that book was pretty life-changing for me. Besides that, I'm reading Untamed by Glennon Doyle, which I really like. It talks a lot about that idea I was talking about before, which like your intuition and your knowing, and focusing on that. I also really liked the book Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. I don't know if you've read that. That talked a lot about like following your curiosity. So that was something she talked about, like if there's something that interests you, just keep following that. Doesn't matter what it is, like there's something there, so keep going. And that's something that I try to do in my life. In terms of like business leaders that I follow or that are inspiring to me, I would say Brene Brown in how she, talks about leading with vulnerability, and Elaine Welteroth and her leadership style is really inspiring to me. It's like super authentic. And I just really appreciate her message about expanding when the world is telling you to shrink.
Very good. I like it. I like these recommendations. We'll for sure put Erin's recommendations in today's show notes, so you listeners out there can read and follow these business leaders out in the world, which is great. So, Erin, we talked about your daily schedule. What's on your daily grind in the upcoming weeks later this year?
Yeah, so as I mentioned before, I'm really trying to take this time to just like notice and question a lot of things, and to see how, like, what is changing, because COVID is definitely changing things. And yeah, we'll go back to some sort of normal, but a lot of these changes are here to stay. And I can't tell you for sure what they are, or, what will change and what won't. But I'm trying to really track like what those changes are and how I can adapt myself and my business to provide the most value. I really like to blend my passion for like improving the workplace for women and my legal skills. So in the upcoming year, I want to focus on being an advocate for women business owners and helping them navigate legal issues and contracts, and during what is especially right now a uniquely difficult time.
Very interesting. Yeah, that's really exciting things ahead for you down the road. Yeah, good luck with everything down the road.
Yeah,
that's really exciting.
thank you so much.
Really good goals out there. Do you have a word of the day or a motivational phrase out there for our listeners to inspire them to achieve their goals?
Sure. As I was preparing for today, it became very clear that I do have a word right now, and I think it's intuition. Intuition or intentionality, intentional. Yeah, those two words are really speaking to me right now. They're helping me, providing me a lot of guidance and what I should do next, I would say.
That's great. It fits perfectly with today's episode and all. Erin, last but not least, if listeners have questions, comments, they want to learn more about the Assist, they want to sign up, how can they do so?
They can go to www.assistyoursisters.com, and you can either sign up as an assister to receive the newsletter each week, or you can submit an anonymous request on the website. You can also find us at assist_your_sisters on Instagram.
Very good. Yes, we will for sure put all Erin's contact info in today's show notes. As always, big thank you for Erin for being on the podcast. When it comes to sharing my story, be sure to follow the Daily Grind at KJF Daily Grind on Instagram, and me, your host, at Kelly J. Lefty on Instagram or Twitter. Make sure to go to our podcast network website, ambiguouspodcastsolutions.com, for more content such as You Mad Bro, the Sam Bustle podcast, and GDP, Goal Driven Professionals. Listen on Google, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more. My name is Kelly Johnson, and have a great day.
Thank you so much.